Thursday, February 4th, 2021, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Before I start today, I'd like to thank all the new subscribers and viewers. It's really picked up this week and late last week. Yeah, some of you have asked, is that dog snoring? Yes, he does snore, Billy. He's almost 13 years old. He's been with us, for a very long time. I've called him the credit crunch puppy. We bought him back in 2008 at the height of the last financial crisis. So he was a bargain as well. Unfortunately, the breeder that had the Shih Tzus, he had one left, and it was Billy. And he was called Billy No Mates by the breeder. We kept the name. So yeah, that's Billy. And he's a silver bug. He's a stacker. We call him Billy Bullion here on the channel. But anyway, back to the topic today. I want to talk about gold, silver, and economic freedom. Usually we've seen in the past people write about gold and economic freedom, but I think silver is just as important, especially for the general public. There is the old saying that gold is the money of kings, silver is the money of gentlemen, and barter is the money of farmers or peasants, and that debt or paper is the money of slaves. So silver is very important, but so is gold, I think. And we've seen Alan Greenspan, despite the fact that he was chairman of the Federal Reserve, and I think the Federal Reserve is a big part of the problem, along with the government. Central banks monopolize the money supply, and they really control our lives through the central banks and the government. The collusion between government and business, that's been happening since 1913. There's a very interesting article I'm going to look at today as well. It's in the FT. Yes, I do subscribe to the FT. You need to keep an eye on the enemy. I'll show you how economic freedom is dying here in the UK. I am in the UK, in London. Some of you might not know. I've been doing these videos since late 2015. And before that, I worked in the city of London, which is the Wall Street of the UK, for over 20 years. So I was a paper peddler before, and I woke up to the really the unfairness of the system back in '02 while I was still in the city. And a lot of the stuff I've learned about the monetary system, about history, has been self-taught, because at university they don't teach you these things, of course, because the universities are funded by the people who control the system. So yeah, Alan Greenspan wrote about it in 1966, Gold and Economic Freedom, how statists hate gold and the control that it puts on politicians. It hampers politicians from spending your money and basically buying votes. And then you have Howard Buffett, Warren Buffett's father, who was a congressman from Nebraska back in '48. He wrote about the same thing, that human freedom, he said, rests on gold redeemable money. And he was right, of course, because being able to redeem the currency, the fiat currency, or the government currency, because it could be a current paper currency but be redeemable, that's not fiat. Being able to redeem it at a fixed rate versus gold and silver is very important, because that means they have to discipline themselves, the government, and discipline their spending. They can't go and start creating or printing these receipts out of thin air to spend and to make the government bigger and get the government involved in the economy. Because the function of government, as I see, and as Frederick Bastiat said, is just to administer the rule of law. And the rule of law is very simple. You protect people's property You protect their persons physically, and you administer the rule of law. It's very simple. That should be the function of government, limited and small. But nowadays, it's completely upside down, and I would say it's because we've allowed, as societies, unfortunately, through the generations, we've allowed government to usurp that power. Usurp the function of sound money. They've destroyed sound money. They've brainwashed people through the education system into believing what we use today is real money. And I've been looking at this since '02, and but I'm encouraged because now, when I started this channel, of course, I had 0 subscribers, and now I'm up to almost 40,000. So that's encouraging. It has been slow, but that's the strategy of our enemies. It's slow and gradual, even though, of course, I like it to be faster. That's the Fabian society, which is basically the globalists. They even have a tortoise or a turtle as their symbol. Slow and steady. You don't change things very quickly. No, I'm not saying that I hope will take another 40 years. I hope it will happen soon, and I'm encouraged. And yes, they've made us dependent, or they've made us keep an eye always on the fiat price of things. They've made us believe that fiat is money. So we always worried about the price moves. But I think we're getting very close to when people start waking up and actually voting with their wallet. And how do you vote with your wallet? Well, you buy physical gold, you buy physical silver, you stack, because by doing that you take the wherewithal from the banking system, because if you leave your hard-earned earnings in the bank, and I won't even say money because it's not money, it's a unsecured loan, you leave it there, you leave $1 worth of, or even, can we call it $1? I would call it one Federal Reserve note worth of work and effort in the bank. They'll take that and they'll leverage that many times over, and they'll dilute the value of your money, and then the government will do the same. They will borrow with no limit, like they're doing now. We're almost approaching 28 trillion, the national debt, and corporations will do the same thing. And is it any wonder that the favorite corporations of the banks are becoming bigger and bigger? And that's where we come to now, to this article in the FT of how government is really doing what was done in the 1930s in Italy and Germany. And I'm not going to use that F word, but you can probably figure it out. FA it starts with. There's 2 leaders in Germany and Italy that used the system. They melded government with the private sector. And yes, they stopped the use of gold and silver in those countries. That they also stopped other things that were important to human freedom. And I saw this article yesterday in the FT, and I said to myself, is it surprising? No, because I think what's happened in the last 12 months or so with this crisis is engineered, and they're trying to destroy the small businesses even more so that government can come in and buy up those businesses. And government is doing that, of course, for powerful actors that are behind them, the big money, the people who control the central banks, the private central banks, of course. In the UK, we're told that the Bank of England has been nationalized, but the people who control the Bank of England are part of, they're the owners of the big private banks. So it says UK government becomes shareholder in toilet maker. Yeah, it sounds funny, like a joke, and there's a picture of this guy here laughing as well. They're making it fun, right? But I think it's deadly serious, though. It says the state starts to take equity stakes in startups under COVID-19 support scheme. So how does the state take equity in startups? Well, they actually think you're not clever enough to take your hard-earned savings and invest yourself. So they extract that from you through taxation, through regulations, through import duties, through VAT, all kinds of taxes and fees, right? And they take your money and they invest. Do they really invest? Do they do due diligence? I would say not, because when it's not your money, you're not as careful. Is it, am I saying there won't be a project that will work? There might be, but the tendency is for these things to always end in tears. But I think what will happen here is once these startups get up and running, guess who's going to buy them from the state, from the government? Guess who's going to do it? Well, the bankers, the people in charge, the people who control the central banks, the big corporations, not you and I. Yeah, maybe they'll let us buy a few shares after the IPO, right? Not during the IPO. It will be the big boys who get the IPO. So let's quickly go through this. It says the government has become a shareholder in a toilet maker, a broadband provider, and a company that helps make reusable cups as part of the Treasury's foray into the venture capital market through one of its coronavirus support schemes. Oh yeah, I have to say as well, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who's the Minister of Finance, that's the equivalent of it, or Treasury Secretary. His father-in-law is one of the biggest or richest men in India. They have private equity businesses. So yeah, you can see where this is going in the future, right? Who's going to buy these companies? And the other thing that's a bit unfair, I would say, is that they're crowding out the investment sector because, yeah, there are a lot of people that have saved and have the wherewithal to look at startups. But the government, what they're doing, they're taking your savings and doing it themselves and front running you. So, but they're not going to talk about that, of course. It says last weekend, the government closed business applications to the Future Fund, the state scheme devised by Chancellor Rishi Sunak, that has provided convertible loans worth more than £1 billion on a combined basis to more than 1,000 British startups. So, yeah, governments really, they shouldn't be in the business of angel investing, if you want to call it that. It should be left to the private sector. As I said in the beginning of the video, the government should have a very limited function, and this is not it. It says these loans automatically turn into minority equity stakes for the future fund in the companies at their next funding rounds, unless investors request to be repaid. And the other thing I would say, would I really want to team up with the government to do anything? Of course not. These people are going to find out the hard way, I think. According to Companies House filings, the Future Fund is now a shareholder in at least 2 startups that have already converted loans into equity stakes. Propelair, a next-generation toilet maker, and Bocatech, a reusable packaging company. A third company, Cornish broadband provider Wildernet, has also seen a £200,000 Future Fund loan convert into a government equity stake after a recent fundraising. It's really sad that the government has to support something so small, £200,000. I mean, it's not huge. and this is what this guy said here. Chief Executive of Wildernet. We thought Rishi Sunak could turn up for a board meeting, he said. And he said as well, the Future Fund was a very useful tool as it allowed us to keep on track. Yeah, and they're going to keep on track of you as long as they've got a stake in your company, Mr. Calvert. So I'm not going to go through the whole article. I just wanted to give you an idea of what's going on. Yes, it all starts to fall into place, the crisis from that we're still in, of course. We're still under lockdown here in the UK. They don't call it lockdown, but the only thing we can do here is really go out shopping for food, walk a little bit or exercise. The golf courses are closed, even though I would say if we didn't have lockdowns, the golf courses probably would be closed because we've had a lot of rain. Still not very nice. You can't travel abroad. You can't go anywhere. You could travel abroad, but there's loads of restrictions, and you never know what will happen to you once you're abroad and you're trying to come back. So yeah, we need to keep at it. I think there are people speculating that they could come after our gold and our silver. Yes, they might, but right now they're not. So we just need to keep doing what we're doing. I think going into Fiat, unstacking, if you want to call it, is giving up on the fight. Yes, we also look at it as an investment, but it's also more than that, holding physical gold and silver. So with that, let's quickly look at where the markets are this morning. The fiat markets, the fake markets, really. The real market, of course, is in precious metals, is not like what we watch, even though it's setting the price still. And I listened to Ted Butler interview. I think it was Palisades Radio. And he noted that the reason they need to keep the silver price down is for the big industrial users like Apple, like the Tiffany's, the jewelers. I've read many things about Tiffany, silver users, and they want to keep the price low so they can keep their profits up. And the other thing, and also Tesla, and silver is used for so many other industrial products, and it's also used in defense. Don't forget that. It's very important. So the other thing it does, yes, it keeps these silver users, big industrial users, profits up, but it also masks the real inflation we've had, because silver starts going up and it's used for many things. It will translate into a lot higher prices of a lot of things. Yeah, and I think we're doing the right thing. We just have to keep stacking, and it's encouraging more and more people are waking up to this. So it's 9:07 a.m. London. Yeah, they're continuing here. Before I started the video, we're around 1822 in the paper price of gold right now. We're right near the lows, down $18. No reason really for gold and silver to be lower, except the fact that the bankers, yeah, they're desperate. They're desperate because a few days ago, gold and silver were breaking out, and if it wasn't that important to them, they wouldn't have been doing what they're doing right now. But anyway, we're down $18, 1%, right on the lows. The high's been 1836. Silver is down 45 cents, 1.7%. Low's been 26.25, high at 26.96, and right now we're at 26.41. So silver is actually not making a new low at the moment, while gold is. The Dow futures up 27 points. NASDAQ future is up 50. S&P futures up 7.5. Yeah, they want to keep you in the paper game, in the stock market. And good luck with that, I would say. What about the fiat currencies? The pound is dropping here. It's down 0.5% at 135.78. The dollar's broken through, or the euro, sorry, is broken through 120 versus the dollar is down about 0.4 at 119.87. And the dollar is up 0.25% versus the yen at 105.25. And the dollar is up slightly versus the yuan at 647. Copper is up 0.33%, high-grade copper. WTI crude, I mean, it's almost at 56. So crude oil is continuing to go up. And the 10-year yield, that's creeping up as well. We are at almost 114 right now. And gold-silver ratio looks like it's going back up a little bit here. We're almost back up to 70. We're at 69 or thereabouts. I think 70 will be a good or big resistance. And I think if you were trading, that's where I would be selling gold and buying silver. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Steemit, Hive, DTube, and Library. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.